Here is what car makers do not want you to know. While they rake in $5,000 to $8,000 profit on every $40,000 SUV they sell, most of which lose 20% of their value the minute you drive off the lot, there is a hidden fleet of 17 SUVs under $4,995 that routinely outlive these cutting-edge machines by hundreds of thousands of miles. The industry calls them outdated, even dangerous, and dealers push new models because the old ones just keep running. So why have tens of thousands of buyers spent fortunes chasing reliability, only to be trapped by planned obsolescence? The answer is buried in decades of corporate strategy, and the proof might just change how you shop for a car forever. If you thought finding a bulletproof SUV under $5,000 was impossible, what comes next will turn that belief upside down. Last Saturday, I watched a young couple sign paperwork for a $41,000 SUV at a major dealership. The salesman leaned in with a smile and said, "You're getting the best deal in the city." But here's how the numbers really work. The minute those tires hit the street, that SUV dropped $8,200 in value. That's not a guess. Industry data shows new vehicles lose 20% on day one. Meanwhile, the dealer pockets $5,000 to $8,000 in profit, sometimes more if you count back-end add-ons and finance markups. The National Automobile Dealers Association tracks these margins every year. Last year alone, U.S. buyers lost $11.8 billion to bait-and-switch pricing and hidden fees. That's not counting the $2,400 average gross profit per vehicle, just from finance and warranty products. The real money isn't in the car, it's in the contract. Extended warranties, paint protection, tire packages, and interest rate markups. Dealers call it back-end profit. You call it $40 a month for coverage you'll never use. A recent FTC investigation found that nearly 80% of buyers at one major dealership were charged for add-ons they didn't ask for or were told were required. One manager told me, off the record, "We make more on the paperwork than the metal." Now let's talk about the depreciation cliff. That $41,000 SUV? In 5 years, it's worth $16,000 if you're lucky. You're paying $500 a month for a vehicle that loses $400 in value every 30 days. Meanwhile, the dealer's risk is zero. They get paid up front, often with manufacturer kickbacks and holdbacks that guarantee profit no matter what. The sales team is trained to steer you into the highest margin options: new cars, loaded trims, and long-term financing. Used vehicles with proven reliability, those get buried in the back row or shipped to auction, where insiders scoop them up before regular buyers ever get a shot. The system is designed to keep you on the hook. Pay more, trade in sooner, repeat. Over a decade, the average family loses more to depreciation and dealer profit than they spend on groceries. And it's not just about the money, it's about control. The industry wants you to believe that reliability comes with a $700 monthly payment. But the truth is, there's a fleet of $4,000 SUVs out there that will outlast the finance contract on any new ride. The only reason you don't see them on the showroom floor is because there's no profit in selling something that doesn't break. That's why the smart buyers, the ones who know the numbers, skip the showroom and hunt for the hidden gems. The game is rigged, but the rules are written in fine print. If you know where to look, you can flip the script and keep your money where it belongs. In the 1920s, Alfred Sloan at General Motors invented a new way to sell cars. Instead of waiting for vehicles to wear out, he rolled out annual model changes: fresh paint, new grills, little tweaks that made last year's car look old overnight. It worked so well that by the 1950s, every major automaker was locked in a race to make cars feel outdated before their time. But what started as a battle of style soon became a war on durability. Fast forward to the 21st century, and the tactics have changed. Now, it's not just about the look. It's about making sure only the dealer can keep your car running. Take a look under most modern SUVs, and you'll find a solid under tray. No access holes for an oil change. You want to swap your own filter? Not without dropping the whole shield. That's not an accident. It's designed to push you back to the service bay for every basic job, racking up labor hours on tasks that used to take 10 minutes in a driveway. Then there's the rise of proprietary parts and software locks. Need a new key fob for a 2015 crossover? It's coded to the car, and only the dealer's computer can program it. Even headlight bulbs can be locked behind dealer-only assemblies. In the early 2000s, you could buy a replacement part at any auto shop. After 2008, more and more components became dealer-exclusive, and prices climbed year after year. The real turning point hit after the 2008 financial crisis. Automakers slashed costs across the board. Materials got thinner. Subframes that were once solid steel became hollow to save a few bucks per unit. Extended maintenance intervals, 100,000 miles on transmission fluid, 150,000 on coolant, were sold as a feature. But the real effect was fewer warranty claims before the clock ran out. By the time trouble started, most owners were on their second or third loan, hunting for another new model. Meanwhile, software updates became a new tool for forced obsolescence. Manufacturers can now end support for older infotainment systems or disable features unless you pay for a subscription. Even basic repairs sometimes require a dealer scan tool just to reset a warning light. The result? Vehicles that are harder and more expensive to keep on the road once the warranty ends. But here's what the industry doesn't want you to know. SUVs built between 2003 and 2008 are different. They come from a window when manufacturers still competed on engineering, not just on features or finance deals. Components were overbuilt, electronics were simpler, and you could service almost everything with basic tools. That's why these models are quietly racking up 200,000, 300,000, even 400,000 miles, while newer ones are sidelined by a $2,000 sensor failure. The system is designed to keep you cycling through payments, trading reliability for the illusion of progress. But if you know what to look for, you can find SUVs that were built to outlast the planned obsolescence playbook, vehicles the industry would rather you forget. The Toyota Sequoia and 4Runner stand as living proof that not all SUVs are built to fall apart. Take the Sequoia. IC Cars found that 36.4% of these giants reach at least 250,000 miles, a rate nearly 5 times higher than the average vehicle. That's not just a fluke. It's the result of a design philosophy that put durability above cost-cutting. The early 2000s Sequoia rides on a full body-on-frame chassis, the same approach truck engineers use for vehicles meant to haul, tow, and survive decades of abuse. Owners report original engines and transmissions still running strong at 300,000 miles, with only routine maintenance in between. Consumer Reports rarely lists major engine or transmission failures for these years, even as the odometers roll past numbers that would send most modern SUVs to the scrapyard. The 4Runner, especially the 4th generation, follows the same blueprint. Thick steel frames, naturally aspirated V6 engines, and simple electronics make these trucks almost immune to the gremlins that plague newer models. Mechanics know the 4Runner's 4.0-liter V6 as a workhorse. No turbochargers, no high-strung sensors, just solid engineering. Reliability surveys place the 4Runner near the top of its class year after year, and it's not uncommon to find examples with 350,000 miles on the original drivetrain. These SUVs weren't built to impress with tech features or touchscreen gimmicks. They were built to last through cross-country road trips, harsh winters, and years of family use without missing a beat. Mileage myths die hard, but the data doesn't lie. A well-cared-for Sequoia or 4Runner from the Golden Age doesn't care if the odometer says 200,000 or 300,000 miles. It just keeps going. That's the difference real engineering makes, and it's exactly why these models have become legends among drivers who want their next SUV to outlive the payment book, not just the warranty. Nissan's CVT transmission disaster left drivers stranded on highways, shaking and stalling with no warning. Between 2013 and 2017, 3 major class action lawsuits forced Nissan to settle claims over transmissions that failed so often they became a punchline among mechanics. The complaints all sound the same: unexpected shudder, violent jerking, sudden loss of power, sometimes with less than 70,000 miles on the clock. A failed CVT isn't a cheap fix either. Most shops quote over $5,000 for a replacement, which is more than the car is worth in most cases. And the kicker? These failures often hit right after the warranty expires, leaving owners with no recourse and a dead vehicle. But that's only part of the story. In 2009, the government's Cash for Clunkers program paid to scrap 677,000 older vehicles, most of them running just fine. The goal was to boost new car sales, but the result was a wipeout of some of the most reliable SUVs ever built. That artificial scarcity is still driving up prices today, making it harder for regular buyers to find the hidden gems dealers don't want you to know about. Meanwhile, the vehicles that survived, like the Jeep Cherokee XJ and the Lexus GX 470, are quietly racking up numbers the industry hoped you'd never see. The Cherokee XJ's 4.0-liter inline-six engine is legendary for a reason. There are original owner XJs still running with over 300,000 miles, needing little more than oil changes and an occasional water pump. The GX 470? It's basically a luxury 4Runner, sharing the same bulletproof V8 and body-on-frame construction. Owners routinely report 250,000 miles with nothing but routine maintenance and a timing belt every 90,000 miles. But the real secret weapon is the Honda Pilot. The 2008 model, in particular, stands out with a J.D. Power reliability score of 85 out of 100 and a reputation for hitting 300,000 miles without major repairs. With a 3.5-liter V6 and a 5-speed automatic, not a CVT in sight, this is the SUV that quietly embarrasses $40,000 competitors. Insurance on a $5,000 Pilot can be 60 to 70% less than a new SUV, and parts are everywhere. That means lower running costs, less stress, and more money in your pocket every year. The truth is, you don't need to play the dealer's game or fall for the latest tech gimmicks. The industry wants you locked into endless payments, but these 17 SUVs are the loophole they can't close. Armed with the right knowledge, you become the buyer they fear most, the one who walks off the lot with a vehicle that outlasts their best finance contract. That's how you beat the system. 71% of car buyers have experienced bait-and-switch tactics, and new SUVs lose 20% of their value the moment they leave the lot. This documentary exposed how planned obsolescence, first formalized by Alfred P. Sloan in the 1920s, still shapes today's automotive market, pushing buyers toward expensive models with engineered limitations. Yet, the data is clear. Models like the Toyota Sequoia, Honda Pilot, and Lexus GX 470 consistently reach 250,000 miles or more, with insurance costs up to 70% lower than on new vehicles. Lawsuits over continuously variable transmissions and the destruction of over 677,000 reliable vehicles during Cash for Clunkers show how reliability is often suppressed, not celebrated. However, complete access to true longevity data remains restricted, as some manufacturer records and internal communications are still classified. What's proven is that informed consumers can break the cycle. The evidence shows that with careful research, a $4,995 SUV can outlast vehicles 8 times the price. The system profits from ignorance, but the facts are now in the open.